Hi everyone, I'm Jake, and welcome to Watercolour Techniques for Beginners. This series will take us through essential techniques step by step, helping us to understand the medium inside out. Let's get rid of any guesswork and start painting with confidence. To start, let's cover the materials I recommend and the reasons why I use them, so you can choose your own setup to follow along with this course. You can find the links to all the materials and some starter packs in the description. Over time, you'll figure out your own style and the materials that work best for you. Won't they, Skippy?
It's all about water, so make sure you have lots of it. I recommend having 2 large jars, one for washing your brush, a dirty one, and one for diluting and making paint, a nice clean one. You can easily contaminate your painting with dirty water. So make sure to use the right jar and replace the water regularly. Place your cup of tea on the other side of your workspace to avoid this. Next, we're going to need some paints. Tubes or blocks. It's all the same stuff. If tube paints dry out, you can re-wet them on the palette and use them just the same way as the blocks. Here's a comparison of the two. First, I'll mix up some paint using the block. You can see it takes quite a few tries to mix a good amount. There we go. And now let's try mixing paint from the tube. I prefer the tubes as they seem to be better value and you can mix up large amounts of paint quickly. Whichever you choose, I recommend using a reputable brand like Winsor & Newton. I use their Cotman series, which is affordable without compromising on quality. Professional watercolours have a higher pigment load, but there's no need to break the bank when starting out. Most sets come with a good range of colours, but when you've been painting for a while, you'll get to know the most useful and your favourite colours. Here's the basic palette that I use. From top to bottom, alizarin crimson, cadmium red, permanent rose, yellow ochre, cadmium yellow, lemon yellow, viridian, Prussian blue, cobalt blue, ultramarine, and burnt umber. It's important to have at least one warm and cool version of each primary colour. For example, lemon yellow is my cool and cadmium yellow is my warm. I also have a few convenience colours such as viridian, permanent rose, and burnt umber. They're great for mixing colours quickly and expanding the range of hues and types of colour that you can achieve. If your set contains white paint, please don't use it. Using white paint will take away the vibrancy and chroma of your colours. You can create light colours by diluting your paints with clean water and letting the white of the paper show through. I suggest avoiding black paint for this reason too. And a good substitute for black is a mix of alizarin crimson and ultramarine. We'll go more into colour mixing in another video. Make sure to avoid these dry looking pan sets. They might look like a bargain, but they're very low quality paints. If you choose to use watercolour in tubes, you'll need to buy a palette separately. I recommend this foldable travel palette. You can fold it up to keep your paint wet, and it's a great size. Watercolour brushes are specially designed to control the flow of water. Animal hair brushes hold more water, but cheaper synthetic brushes are great too. I recommend a large round watercolour brush. My favourite size is 14. Great for making washes, incredibly versatile and can be easily made into a small point for details. I use the Winsor & Newton Cotman brushes, size 8, 14 and 20. Large brushes make the most of what watercolour has to offer. They'll help you stay loose and expressive. Watercolour papers are also specially designed to hold water. You will find that simple cartridge paper buckles and bends when used with water-based medium. You might have heard of cold and hot press. Cold press is more textured. Think goosebumps on your arm. It absorbs water easily and I find it the nicest to use. Hot press is smooth, as it's been ironed through hot metal rollers. This paper is often used for detailed illustration and design work. The right paper makes a big difference. To make sure you're buying quality, look for 100% cotton on the cover. My current favourite is Archer's Cold Press, although it can sometimes be difficult to get hold of in the UK, and the price inflates. So I also recommend the Langton Prestige Cold Pressed and Sanders Waterford paper. Let me know what your favourites are. Some papers are sold as blocks. This means they've been fixed on all sides to help stop buckling. After painting, you can separate the sheets with a knife. Keep old scraps of paper, as they're handy for testing colours while you paint. Why have I given kitchen paper its own section? Because it's vital. You're going to need a way to dry, clean and control the water on your brush. Kitchen paper is arguably better than using a rag that might become stained, as in an emergency you can rip off a clean piece and use it for soaking up mistakes. Lastly, some masking tape and masking fluid won't go amiss. They're not essential items, but they can come in handy, and I'll be showing you how to use them in this course too.
So that's my recommended materials. I hope you found this useful, and if you did, please hit the like button now. In the next video, I'll show you how to mix up your first colours, avoid the cauliflower effect, and create a lovely smooth, flat wash. Subscribe and stay tuned for the rest of this watercolour series. In the meantime, get out your paints and have a play. Don't be afraid to use them and mess up a page. And if you come up with any questions, ask me in the comments. A big thank you to our patrons that make this possible. If you'd like to support the channel, check out our Patreon. You'll find some goodies like this technique checklist that you can print out and use in your studio. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Wait.